With this presentation, we'll start Unit 2 on the meaning of tones in discourse. So this is what's going to happen in this unit. We will start with the review of Brazil's discourse intonation. Then we will focus on the different genres and how they interact with the notion of intonation. And when we analyze conversations in English, we will include the notion of social roles and how that is perceived and produced by means of intonation. Let's get started. As you probably know, the discourse intonation approach was created by David Brazil and started as an offshoot of the discourse approach which emerged at the University of Birmingham in the 80s. In Brazil's theory, English tones fulfill two different meanings, a proclaiming effect and a referential effect. For him, the fall and fall-rise intonation are used to proclaim information, and the rise and fall-rise tones signal information that is shared by the speakers. Let's discuss this in detail. Proclaiming in Brazil's terms is like informing something to the hearers that they did not know at this point in the conversation. It also relates to those speech acts which bring new information to the interaction. His use of the word proclaiming may evoke the speakers who proclaim a royal edict or announcement in medieval times. In contrast, referring tones appeal to the speaker's shared knowledge. This old knowledge may be shared before the conversation started or may become shared during the interaction. We will refer, as an example, to one well-known genre, instructional discourse. In instructional discourse, the following tone will index information that the recipient hears for the first time, but the speaker may also mark other pieces of information as shared, as if she or he asked the emphatic question, "Don't you remember this?" When they are part of an elicitation for information or explanation, Brazil uses the concept of inquiry or inquiry. And they may be of two types in relation to the speech acts involved. So the speaker may elicit an information or explanation about something they ignore and which is part of the instruction. Or they may be eliciting to confirm some assumptions about the information that they are processing during the instruction. These inquiries occur only at the initiated move slot of the exchange structure. Brazil does not equate the concept of inquiry with the grammatical form. For him, a positive statement may elicit information without having a yes, no, or WH question format. So it is essential to get to the elocutionary force or intention of the speakers. The inquiries, which aim at a search for information about a particular topic, a particular destination, explanation, etc., are called finding out inquiries. When the speakers use these finding out inquiries, it means that there is a gap in the information that the listener needs to fill in. Sometimes the information may be a real command or instruction that is needed at this time in the interaction. You can read the examples for illustration. Making sure inquiries, in contrast, aim at confirming or rejecting prior assumptions or newly created hypotheses. Those assumptions can be found in the text before the actual making sure inquiry, from what is going on or implicitly in the text, or because the interactants have prior ideas about how to do something. Take a look at the examples and try to identify the assumptions embedded in each making sure inquiry. If we relate these concepts to Halliday's metafunctions, we can state that informative speech acts illustrate two metafunctions. On the one hand, their informational value points at the topics of the real world, to the expressions of emotions, to the new and old experiences of the external world, etc. But informative speech acts may also refer to the textual metafunction. That is, they signal the oldness or newness of the information negotiated, or may focus on the structure or organization of discourse or text. Some more examples. When proclaiming tones are used to give explanations or instructions to the interlocutor, the full tone is used to proclaim, that is, to fill in the knowledge gap that the hearer has. But it may also be used to give partially new information to the interlocutor. This new information will be added to a set of existing prior group of concepts or ideas. And finally, the full tone may be used to supply new information that may serve as an explanation for a request or may express emotions or states of mind. The rise and fall rise tones in speech acts, such as instructions and explanations, may have different functions. In positive statements, they may mark the anaphoric relationship between ideas in the conversation. This means that the old nature of the information material can be traced back to another idea in the text. Another use may relate to the piece of information may relate the piece of information to something that will be uttered right away. So the reference to that information will appear next. The third use may be more implicit, as it cannot be traced back to a specific point of the conversation, but may refer to the whole conversation or may be created in relation to something that is happening in the context or situation of the interaction. The last use of the rise and fall rise tones may exemplify the negotiation of ideas, opinions, experiences that both speakers share, even before they started the interaction. You may be wondering why the level tone was not mentioned before. It is really important to mention that the level tone does not reveal new information or index information that is shared by the interactant. Its use may be related to the textual metafunction, as it shows a cognitive processing of information. For example, it shows that the speaker remembers that piece of information while he or she is speaking. Or it may relate to an interpersonal metafunction because it shows a turn-taking strategy. That is, the listener cannot interrupt or start a new conversation turn because the speaker shows that he or she has not finished. A more textual metafunction involves the use of level tone for unfinished or incomplete turns. For Brazil, the use of the level tone may also represent a ritualistic use of language. This means that the speaker diverges or separates herself or himself from the interlocutor by assuming a particular ritualistic role, that of the expert, the professional, among others.